Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com. Today I want to show you how to do this pattern to make this. This is a strip here. I have not sewn in my yarn ends on this yet, and I'm carrying the yarn up the side as I'm working this through, so I only have a couple of yarn strings to weave in, 2 on that side and 2 on this side. But this is, you can see, I started with a light, then I have 2 stripes of the dark, light in the middle and light on the end, and this is the exact opposite where I have the darker color on the ends and then the 2 stripes of lighter in the middle. And I've done a couple different color variations of this for a couple of different patterns I'm using the same striping pattern with, and I wanted to show you how to do this. And also, this is the first row, okay, no gaps, and it looks just as nice as the last row. And what I'm going to be doing is a single crochet into the back bump of our chain stitch. Okay, so we're going to get going here. I'm going to show you what I'm working with here. I have a furls hook size I. This is a 5.5 millimeter, and the yarn I've used for these colors here is Lion Brand Basic Stitch, and it is in olive. The green color is olive. This is a medium weight yarn. It's a number 4. The other one is, and the other lighter color is almond. Okay, and I've used up all of my, well, most of my almond. I just have one pattern I have to finish with it, so I'm going to start this next one off with a partial skein of red heather. This is red heather, but it's also the Lion Brand Basic Stitch. So I'm just going to show you in a smaller sample how I did this, so that you can read the pattern in case you have any questions. Okay, let's get going with our tutorial here. So I'm going to get my slip knot on the hook. And you can get that on any way that you prefer, whichever way works for you. And with this pattern, you can chain any number of foundational chains. I'll do, how about 15 today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, now normally when you do your first row, you'll work right into the top loop. Let me just open this up a little bit. So you have your top loop and your bottom loop, but if you turn this around, you'll see that there's a little back bump. You'll see that little back bump on all of the stitches. That's what we're going to be crocheting into, because that's going to give me a nice finish to where the first row looks just like the last row. See that? This is the first row on here, and this is the last row. It looks really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where am I here? I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to skip this first stitch. I'm going to work into this next stitch right here. So when we're done, we will have 14 single crochet. So I'm just going to insert my hook, yarn over, draw the yarn through. I have 2 loops, and we're going to draw through, yarn over and draw through the 2 loops. We're going to do it again, and we're going to keep working through the back bump all the way through. We inserted our hook, yarn over, draw through, yarn over and draw through 2 loops. So we're going to continue to do our single crochet in the back bump all the way across, and this will give us a really nice first row. This whole pattern consists of just 7 rows. Whoops. 2 colors of your first color, 2 rows of your first color, then we switch to another color, go back to the first color and use the other color, and then 2 rows of this same color you started with to end with. So we're just going to keep working in the back bump all the way to the end. And of course, once you have this, you can skip to the end if you'd wish. I keep having my yarn slip off this hook today. I don't know why. It just happens to be what's happening today. Usually when I'm on camera, I'll get a yarn tangle. It always happens to me, but I can sit on the sofa with my legs out and watching TV, and I won't have a yarn tangle all night. But okay, we're just about done here. And I'll show you how nice this looks. And then one last one. You see this? There's a little, here's my knot that I started with. You see this? There's one more stitch if you turn it that way. So right here is the last little bump. So make sure that you get that. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to pull out my hook. And this is the first row all done. It's just a one row of single crochets in the back bump. Now we'll turn it, and I'm going to do another row of this red yarn. And so I'm going to do a chain one. This does not count as anything. It's just a turning chain. So we're going to work into the very first stitch right here. So we work into the first stitch and do a single crochet, and we're going to go through normal under both loops. And now we're just going to do a single crochet all the way across. So it's just a real simple single crochet. Instead of a back bump, we're just doing it normally under both loops. And then the next row, we're going to change color. And then I just continued to carry the yarn up the side. As I said, I wanted to make sure I had it. I was under the right loops here. We're almost done. And then we'll get our next color going. Now, when you're doing this, make sure we got 2 stitches left. Can you tell that I have 2 stitches left? One here and one here. So right there. We've got to get under these 2 loops right here. See that? I think I just had a ladybug fall. Or one of those Asian beetles. So this is row 2, all done. Okay, now I'm going to get the next yarn, and we're going to put the next yarn on here. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I have my loop here. I'm going to bring a loop in here, just wrap it around the hook, draw it through, pull my red one tight, make sure I get my right yarn wrapped around my other fingers, snug this up, there we go. And now what I'm going to do is a chain one, and then right back into that first stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet, and then we do a single crochet all the way across. All right, and when it does come time to weave in your yarn ends, weave it into the light colors, of course. All right, and we're just going to do this single crochet all the way across. I've actually so far used the same stitch pattern on 2 different patterns. One is going to be a headband that I'm going to braid. This strip is 2 inches wide this way, and then the length is going to depend on what you're making. I'll have that all detailed in the pattern. And then the other one is ribbon candy Christmas ornament. And so right here, we've got to get into our last stitch right here. I did not get both loops. See that I got both loops now. And oops. Not a good time to have a slip out. Here we go. And then a single crochet. Now, here comes the magic. I'm going to let that out, make a big loop. So I have my one row of my green. Now, my red yarn that I ended up with was over here, right? This is my long string. Over here was my short string that I started with. So I'm going to keep this over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this yarn and get it up over here. So our first stitch that we had right here, this was my chain 1 stitch. So here's my first single crochet. So I'm going to bring my red yarn up that I pulled tight in the previous row, yarn over, bring it through. Then I'm going to chain 1, just like our normal chain 1. Now I'm going to single crochet right back in that first stitch, and I'm going to single crochet in each one all the way across. Okay, we can do this. And then I'll be over by the green, and there's only going to be 2 rows of green in this. But if I was making a blanket or something, or any kind of a pattern that uses this, once I figured out how to carry yarn up the side, gosh, I try and figure out how to carry it up all the time as much as possible. As the less I have to cut the yarn, the better it is for, let me get some more yarn here, for having less yarn ends to weave in. And I'm almost done here with this row. So I just kind of hang on to this here, and when I get to the end, insert my hook into that last stitch and do my single crochet. Now I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I'm going to turn it. I don't want to lose it. Stick it all back in. Make my green a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to grab my green loop and bring that through. Then I'm going to tighten up my red. Come on. Grab my green loop yarn here. Snug it up some more. And I'm going to chain one. And now right back into this very first stitch right here, I'm going to do a single crochet. And a single crochet all the way across. And then this row we'll be done with our green, and we can snip it off and then weave it in later. However, I'm probably going to use this yarn for another project because I have enough left to make something else. I'm not sure what. So I'm not going to snip it off because I'm probably going to pull this out and use it for another project. I have an idea for another headband. We'll see how well it works out. Okay, and there's the last one there. So now this I'm going to make a little bit bigger because now I have to come back to this side and get my red yarn. So far we have 2 rows of single crochet. This is the 3rd, 4th, 5th. So we're on row 5. So we're going to right now move to row 6, which is going back to our red. And I really do have to get more yarn here. But we're going to go back to our red. Whoopsies, pardon me, now I hit the camera. All right. Okay, we got some more yarn. I've gone back to my red, stuck my yarn in the hook, in the hole, in the stitch there. Yarn over, bring the yarn through, do my single crochet, or I should change, can't even talk, chain 1, go back in and do that same stitch and do a single crochet. And now my yarn is secured and I'm all set to go. And we're going to go ahead and do our single crochets all the way across. Now I should tell you, the green that I just ended up with, I normally would have snipped it and brought it through this loop and then just pulled it tight, and then that loop would be snug against here. Like I would have, you know, I would have pulled it tight like that and it would be snug. Because I'm not cutting it off, it looks a little bit funny. I'm just going to leave that loop hanging there at the moment because you'll get the picture. But I want to show you how this will look in this color combination when it's done here. I'll just quickly do my single crochets. And then we'll have one more round of single crochet here. And we will be done. This is a really quick pattern. And the ribbon candy turned out so cute. And now I'm going to turn it, chain 1, crochet right into that same stitch, and we're going to go back across. There we go. My yarn is squeaking. It's all right. And we got 3 more stitches. 1 and the last one. So this is how this looks. There we go. That's how you do it. And the ends look nice. Doesn't that look nice? And we carried our yarn. And of course, this would look just as nice as the other side if I hadn't had this wad of yarn hanging out here. And then it's really easy. You only have 2 yarn pieces on each side to weave in. And it looks the same on both sides. It looks really cute. So that's how we do this pattern. I will have, for whichever pattern you happen to be looking at to see this, I'll make sure for the pattern that I'll have the number of stitches to start with for the length. And but again, this ends up to be about 2 inches wide this way. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I want to thank you for watching, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And again, the pattern, if you happen to be watching this first and don't see the patterns are always free on patternprincess.com. All right, take care and happy crocheting. Bye-bye.